You are listening to the Slow Living Podcast, and I'm your host, Stephanie O'Day. What if I told you that you could truly have the life of your dreams, the life you've always wanted, one filled with abundance, joy, and a sense of purpose? It's absolutely possible, and I see it each and every day with my coaching clients. It all starts with learning how to slow down. You deserve to live the life you've always dreamt about. Let's get started. This is episode number 20. I am so happy you are here. This is kind of a fun episode for me. I am going to have you listen in as I chat with a former coaching client of mine, Katherine. And we go on for quite a while, but I'm not going to edit it out. I'm just going to let us talk, and you can listen in and you can hear how Katherine first found me through the Crockpot site and how we started working together and how her mindset sort of shifted as we worked together. She's a teacher, so we did Dream Life coaching, which is my 3-month coaching package. And we went last summer over the summer months, and it was fun and it was wonderful. And you can share her sort of trickle down mindset approach when it comes to how now she has incorporated some of our coaching techniques into her own life and her own family, and also in the classroom. So thank you again for being here, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hi, Katherine. I am happy you are here. And what is so funny is I just hit record because we were laughing because I wanted to title this Real People, Real Clients, Katherine from Canada.
And I said, Canada's a really big place. I don't live near Alaska, and I don't live near Washington State, and I don't.
No,
Canada's
it's true.
huge.
I'm such a stupid
US,
American.
Right?
In my mind, it's all one place. It's like when I was 12 or so, my grandparents took me to Scotland, and this kid says, "Oh, I have a cousin who lives in San Francisco. Do you know them?"
And even though you're from San Francisco, you know that San Francisco is a really big place.
Absolutely. Well, Katherine, thank you. You are my first client who I am getting to talk to and interview, and I just really appreciate that you got up early and you are recording with me. So thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, Steph. I look forward to our chats. And when we stopped our official coaching weekly sessions, I was really sad because I missed you. So it's a real pleasure to get to talk to you again.
Oh, well, I'm always here. So you can email me, you can ping me. I have not, you have. I have not disappeared, I promise. I promise.
That's what you said to me. And it's true. You know, I know you're always there. So it's awesome. So yes, Katherine from Canada. I actually live in.
So the funny thing is now I can honestly say that I have coached internationally.
There you go. All across North America. Yeah.
Oh, tell me. I know you found me originally through crockpotting. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. And then correct. Are you also gluten-free?
I'm not 100% gluten-free. I have gluten reduced simply because of having listened to my body and how it responds to a lot of wheat and a lot of gluten, but mostly wheat in particular, because gluten, of course, is in all kinds of things. But yeah, that's how I found you. Initially was through slow cooking because, I wanted more slow cooker meals for my family. I'm a mom of 3 amazing kids. And they're, right now they're 16, almost 13 and 10. And at that time they were younger and life was even busier. So for me, I found you through slow cooking, and then I just kind of followed you along as you grew and kept subscribed to your newsletters, and I saw you transition towards coaching, and having followed your story and you being a woman, a mom, a wife, your sense of humor. I love your sense of humor. We have
You have a great sense of humor, Catherine. You're fun to talk to. You're a lot of fun.
Thanks.
You're a lot of fun. So one thing that popped out just then was when you were talking about the gluten, is you were talking about how you were listening to your body. And so what was the big shift there? Did you find that you needed to sort of kind of pause and slow down and take stock? Was there a huge turning point for you in order that you needed to kind of turn inwards, or have you always sort of been wired that way?
Well, I've always listened to my body, always. Sometimes to my detriment, the detriment of my mental health, I think sometimes, because I'm like, okay, I really, really, really need to slow down, or, oh, okay. But so for me, I was just really feeling bloated all the time. And I thought, this can't just be hormones. I know that you had an episode where you talked all about hormones, and I think we'll probably touch on some of that today too. But for me, it was like, I'm bloated all the time, and it's not just cyclical what's going on here. Mm-hmm. Because of course there's the cyclical bloating too, which, we can certainly go into that for my journey as well, because that's been quite a journey over the past year as well.
Right. I like that you're naturally kind of intuitive and go within. I know we banter back and forth, and you follow your horoscope and your notes from the universe and things like that. So
my hormonal horoscope, you mean?
So there's that.
Yeah.
So there's that. So when it comes to like listening to signs in your body and like signs from the universe, which talks louder to you?
Signs from the universe, for sure, because my body is part of the universe.
Oh, interesting.
Right? We cannot we can't remove our bodies from our environment, right? Mm-hmm. We are literally what we eat. We are literally what we consume, whether that's information, whether that's food, whether that's products. We are what we consume. So to ask whether it's the universe or my body, you can't really have one without the other. And we, like everything that we do, the way we tread on Mother Earth, like I am so fortunate to live on the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee where I am. Mm-hmm. And I know that my mind, my heart, my soul, my body becomes hard and unhappy when I'm not connected with nature in some way. And even that's a 5-10 minute walk outside where I'm not only seeing concrete and houses. It's really, really important. So my body responds so strongly. Like I went for a walk this morning with my dog, and as soon as I got out there, I felt exhilarated. I was like, oh my gosh, the sun is shining. And it's yes, I'm in Canada. Yes, we have snow. We don't have snow all year round right here where I live.
Okay, so you sound...
It's awesome. Yeah.
So you sound very at peace and very grounded and very whole. So what made you seek out coaching? Because I mean, what you just shared is completely, totally awesome blossom. So did you ever have the feeling of like, oh my gosh, I am a hot mess? Like, has that ever even crossed your brain?
Many times, many times. Oh yeah. And like we have sure, we have monthly cycles, but we have cycles of life too, right? And basically from age 30 to 40, I was a roller coaster of hormones simply because I was either, like you, from 25 to 35, I was either pregnant, breastfeeding, pregnant, breastfeeding, for 10 years, almost continuously, absolutely 100% nonstop. And that took a real toll on my body when it was trying to recover from those cycles.
Mm-hmm. So did you find that you ended up sort of like losing your own sense of identity because you're like literally pouring nourishment into these other people?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'll touch on that as soon as I speak to the kind of getting out of that cycle. So yeah, going from the entire decade of my 30s being a provider of life, literally growing these babies. And then my body says, okay, you're done with that, I guess. You still want, like, my body still really loved being pregnant whenever it was. So it was always ready to get pregnant. But oh my gosh, my husband would look at me and we were really lucky in that we didn't have to try, if you will. I mean, I did have one miscarriage before we had the 3 kids. But so when I was getting, when I was weaning myself from weaning, I was actually, funny enough, you were a La Leche Lake leader at one point in time. I was a breastfeeding coach. So I was helping other moms with their, learning how to breastfeed and whatnot. And just helping them and supporting them because it's such a journey. Anyways, we don't need to get into that. But when I was doing a training session about emotional effects and mood disorders and things that moms can go through when they're, pregnant, breastfeeding, one of the sessions I learned about, of course, there's postpartum depression, but we looked at PMDD, which you talked about in a previous episode. And I thought,
people don't talk about it. Isn't that interesting? Like, I think that was one of the reasons we connected so, I don't know, like puzzle pieces, is that we immediately started speaking each other's language. I don't think PMDD is known about in most circles.
Oh, and it just, I remember you saying in your episode that people can't actually go to work and it gets in the way of people's relationships. I think, oh my gosh, yes. And I actually started to cry when I was listening to that episode yesterday. Oh my gosh, yes, it's so true. It didn't get in the way of me going to work, but there's absolutely no question that it got in the way of my functioning. And so recognizing those symptoms, and then it was like, oh, if these symptoms don't completely go away once you start bleeding, there's something deeper than that. So it's depression. So with all of this, I figured out that I actually really did need help. So with that, I sought help, and so, you said I seem pretty at peace. And I am now. I really am. But it's because I figured things out and I've done the work to get there. And I think people, I got meds and I'm still on meds. And I play with my dose to make sure that the second half of my cycle, I have a stronger dose to make sure that PMDD doesn't affect me as much, which is really funny because I had a hysterectomy about a year ago. Which is, for a year before that, I was on meds waiting for the surgery. And with that, it shut down my ovaries completely. So all of this stuff that I'd finally figured out was okay, I know that I'm going to feel like this around this day.
Mm-hmm.
It stopped.
Yeah.
It stopped. Like, oh my gosh, now what do I do? So it just put me into immediate menopause. And so, I got through that year of trying to figure things out, and I figured it out, and then I had my surgery. And so they removed my uterus and one of my ovaries because I had a cyst. I had a cyst, and that was part of the bloating as well. We talked about gluten and bloating and all that. And so with the removal of my uterus and and I had endometriosis, which is another thing people don't talk about.
Right? No, I mean, yeah. No, it's really interesting how being a woman and in a man's world is we're just supposed to kind of slap a smile on our face and grin and bear it. And, I mean, my gosh, there's a lot to unpack there of how we've just sort of silently suffered for eons, but yeah.
Well, there's the whole concept of the red tent,
Yes. Yes. It's such a great book. Such a great book.
It is. Yeah, it really is powerful. Yeah. So after my hysterectomy, a couple of months later, my ovaries started to kick into gear. And so now, after having gone through all of the figuring things out, and now I'm done, and so there's no bleeding, but I still have those hormonal cycles, which is really, really fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. So you and I, we worked together after the hysterectomy and after the health things. And so we worked on mindset and kind of healing some of the inner child and some different work on that. So how does that all play into sort of creating this new, I don't know, chillaxed, worldly Katherine?
Well, I've always been fairly worldly, but what it has done, because I kind of lost myself, right? And that's what I said when I came to you, right? Like, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a teacher, I teach high school, and I'm a supporter of so many other people, right? Teaching compassion and like just supporting everybody else. So I'm all of these things. I wear all these hats. But who is Katherine? Who's Katherine, right? I'm my husband's wife. I'm my kid's mom. I'm my dog's owner, a dog's person, whatever.
Yeah.
But and my student's teacher. But who is Katherine? So I really sought you out to try and help me do some of that work and connect with, who I am, who I want to be. Like, we get so muddled up in the daily grind and the hamster wheel. And you kind of lose yourself in it when you are in the throes of motherhood.
Yeah. Life. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I knew we worked together for 3 months, and what I like to do is sort of map out the future. And I did pull up your 3-year plan that we had worked on, but what is it like now that you can sort of envision future Katherine and what you're working towards? Has your day-to-day changed because you have that sort of future you that you're stepping into?
My day-to-day certainly has changed from a year ago, and even from, right before I started working with you, and even at the beginning, because when I started working with you, it was summer holidays, and I was so resistant to routine.
Well, the first call was all about organization. So, I mean, we spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you talk about a hot mess. Yeah. I mean,
never. I would never describe you as that. Ever, ever, ever.
Well, I mean, we all have our moments, right? And it took like 16 years, 17, 16 years for this house to get to be an overcrowded space that I feel like, I am so fortunate that I have such abundance. But sometimes a lot is too much.
Yeah.
Right. The overcrowded closet, like I have beautiful clothes, but other people would benefit from having some of my clothes that I don't necessarily wear. Right. Mm-hmm. So that whole concept of cutting back to what is important, right? And I'm not talking necessarily to the point of minimalism, but minimalism goes a lot with the concept of living intentionally, choosing what's important, whether it's things or experiences or priorities in your day. And so for my day now, it's much more intentional and much more planned out, even more so than what it was during the school year last year.
Interesting, because you just said a second ago that you didn't want the routine. You were bucking the system.
Yeah, but the thing is, all school year, I live by a bell. My life is ruled by routine. And so when you talk about routine in the summer, I'm like, is this really important? And Steph, you said
I wanted you to get out of bed early, and you did.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that is so important. Oh my gosh.
I know people don't like it when I tell them that. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
I promise it's life changing. Even if you're a night owl, it's still life changing.
Well, what you need to do is carve out some time in the day, and if you're a night owl, make that special time right before you go to bed, so that it's reflective, contemplative, and you've got that quiet time to yourself. It's self-care.
It is self-care.
And for me.
Well, it's interesting because it's self-care in the form of self-discipline, because you have to create the habit and stick to it. And it takes a while to create a new habit. And people don't like to be told what to do. You don't like to be told what to do. Nobody likes to be told what to do.
Yeah. My mother, when she gave up trying to put me to bed, I would fall asleep on the sofa instead because I didn't want to be told what to do when I was little. But there's something to be said for self-discipline. There's a lot to be said for self-discipline because, like, even this morning, I was tired. The alarm went off at 5:45. Now it's darker in the morning later, so 5:45 now, but I can see in another few weeks it'll probably be 5:30, and then another, like in the summer it was 5 o'clock.
Right.
The concept of living in here I go back to nature, living in tune with nature, right? We are meant to be awake when the sun is awake, right? Elsa and Anna, I'm awake, the sun's awake, so let's play.
That's really cute. Okay, so walk me through your kind of mind drama and your mental chatter of the alarm goes off and you don't want to get up. What do you do? Because that's real life.
Oh yeah. So it has been a habit set, mindset change. So for me, before I made the decision to get out of bed, I would, lie in bed in the morning and listen to the news, which is never a good way to start the day, by the way. No, don't bring the world into my space until I'm ready to deal with it.
Yeah, let's invite all the politicians and all of the wars into your bed.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. So for me, making the decision to set the alarm, and I ask Siri to set it. I don't even. Too. Yeah. Siri.
I know the kids make fun of me.
Talk to me. Yeah.
And it's really silly. And I know you already know this, but I'm going to say it out loud to everybody else. The reason I ask Siri to set the alarm and why Katherine does is saying it out loud is you're setting the attention, and it's an auditory act. It's an intention, and you're sort of presetting your brain by saying it out loud and by asking Siri or doing it. Yes, you can have an app and it will do it for you. But every single night, setting that intention before you go to bed of when you're going to wake up is quite empowering. And it just works. I'm sure there's brain science, but it works. So.
It really does, because it's very different from just getting up and turning the alarm off. When you set your alarm at night, you're already setting yourself up for the rest of it, for your next day, right? And so I lay out, because right now it's cold in the morning in our house. When I was working with you, it wasn't. So I didn't have to lay out my warm clothes, before the furnace goes on and heats up the house really nicely. So before I go to bed, I set that alarm. I lay out I put my slippers down. I lay out a couple of, my warm pink fuzzy pants and, ready to get up and get out of bed. And I set the alarm. I put it on my phone, but I set it on the other side of the room, like way on the other side of the room. I cannot get up. I cannot turn it off from my bed. So I physically have to get out. And if my slippers are right there beside the phone, then you put them on. You keep on moving.
I'm really glad you're saying this out loud. Because that is exactly what I do. And I just, my friend Jennifer and we just had this same conversation. She's like, well, I just hit snooze. I'm like, no, you have to put it on the other side of the room. She's like, well, I don't do that. I'm like, well, I'm telling you what will work.
Yeah, it does. It does. And my husband is an extremely light sleeper. Like I cannot, our son was up working really late last night and I was helping him, and I tiptoed into the bedroom and crawled no one else in the world would wake up, but my husband wakes up. I'm like, So all the more reason why I really want to get out of bed and get across the room right away before but what's really interesting, Steph, is how my mindset, my changes in my life have had a ripple effect in my family.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So they were fully on supportive. I mean, you told me from the get-go that your husband's like, yes, do this. Like, you should do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he said,
and paying money's hard. Like I totally get. And investing in yourself and deciding to plunk money down for self-care is it's very difficult. And I totally get it. And I am a frugal person. But when I look back on the money that I've spent on coaching, it has been insanely valuable for me. And so anyway, go ahead.
I agree because, and that was part of the thing, I was like, okay, so I'll spend money on my kids' piano lessons and violin lessons and traveling for basketball and ballet, like all of these things we pay, horseback riding, all of these things that I'm so lucky that my kids get. My kids are so lucky that they get these opportunities, but we pay for them. We pay for them. Like we're really lucky that we've got the means to be able to provide these opportunities for the kids. And so if we're doing that for the kids, why am I not doing that for myself? What is stopping me? So that was what that was kind of my mindset to get things started. So going back to
your trickle down.
My kids, the trickle down. So
it's like there's trickle down economics and then there's trickle down mindset.
That's right. Totally. Now I do have to credit my son, who is incredibly self-disciplined. Like there's none of this, oh, wait for the motivation to hit you or wait for someone to, scream through a blowhorn to get yourself out of bed or anything. He is so incredibly self-disciplined. Like he understands that discipline is not what you want now. Discipline is what you want most. And like your poster says, and I really want to get a poster like that. I've looked it up. I think I'll order one because it's so true. But the trickle down effect So that whole starting to wake up at 5 o'clock, let's just say my husband wasn't particularly enthusiastic because our alarm has gone off for years at 6 o'clock. We listen to the news in bed. We cuddle, just listening to the news and then get on with our day. But
that is so funny. I'm sorry, Mr. Catherine, for messing up your cuddle routine.
I know, eh? But yeah, so he was pretty reluctant. God, you really love it. And then once he saw the changes in me, it was like, okay, that's awesome. So now he has been setting his own alarm for the same time I set mine.
Oh, that is really cute. You've got competing alarms, and they're each going off at the same time?
Yep.
Oh, that's so funny.
His is beside the bed because with his work, he actually does need to be contactable 24 hours a day.
Okay.
But yeah, mine's on the other side. So
really
it's funny, yeah. And the kids, once I started decluttering my own stuff, they started doing their stuff too. So you can't make your kids do anything. You just have to show them how to do it.
Yeah, I think that is such a huge takeaway. And when it comes to taking care of yourself and your own health and the food you put into your body and whether or not you exercise and whether or not you actually feel as if you're a disciplined person or not, the kids are watching. And I mean, we all just want great, happy, healthy, successful kids. And it really does start from taking care of yourself and modeling that behavior. And it sounds too simple to be true, but that's really what it is. You want your kids to eat healthy, you better eat healthy. You want your kids to exercise, you better exercise. You want your kids to be organized and responsible, you need to be organized and responsible.
Yeah, for sure. It goes back to that poem, that kids learn what they live, right? If they learn, like if they live in hate, like with people around them hating and then they're going to learn to hate. If they live with love, they're going to learn to love. And I think our world certainly needs a lot more love these days.
Absolutely. When you started talking about the trickle down with your kids and then the living, because you are a teacher, you touch so many more children and humans and lives. So have you found that your teaching has changed in any way? Are you acting different in the classroom than you used to?
I've always been a big proponent of compassion in the classroom. So has my teaching changed? I don't know if it's changed tons, because I'm really good at giving advice, but not necessarily following my own advice.
Okay. So are you catching yourself? Are you catching yourself a little bit better now? Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm listening to what, like we're so good at being like it, that self-care piece, right? So talking to yourself as if you would talk to a friend, a good friend, right? That is important to have as good self-talk. So being able to follow your own advice is really important. In the classroom, I've been really lucky to teach a couple of courses that actually focus on this type of thing. And had I taken my own course, woohoo! I'd be in better shape, but I wouldn't have met you. So, but I think there's so much about mindset that people really need to consider about how impactful your mindset is on your whole life. The way you think becomes your reality. Yeah. And if you think that you're going to have a great day, you're going to have a great day. No matter what.
It sounds so simple. It sounds so like Hallmark quotey and bumper stickery, and it doesn't seem like it would work. And I totally get that because I resisted for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you think you're going to, like, it's true. Like, your mindset, like, what is it that gratitude creates your attitude, or like, the positivity, like there's all these little catchy
so
sayings.
I'm curious with that, do you sort of feel like you can kind of puppet master your own life? Do you feel like you're creating your own future because of your thoughts?
Yeah, because finally I understand that I'm the adult in my life. Or as you say, the adult.
The adult. We spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah. Being able to say, okay, Katherine, you are the decision maker in your own life. So now in the mornings, I used to sit around the kitchen or stand in the kitchen and be responsive constantly to my children's needs, my husband's needs, whatever came up, I was there to help. Right. But now they're so amazing at getting their own things, like doing their own thing and being like, they make their own lunches. Mm-hmm. They do all of that themselves. And as you, I've been raising adults. And one of my kids, she was probably about 7 or so. And she said to her grandmother, yeah, I make my own lunch because Mama's raising adults.
It's true.
She didn't sound so happy about it, but
I know. So that's the thing, is we are not raising children. We're raising future capable, self-sufficient adults, because the end goal is you don't want them living in your basement forever. You really don't. No. I mean, I love you, but I'd really like to be able to see that I've done a good enough job that I know that you're going to be okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's true. So go ahead. I was just going to ask, like, because your children are a little older and they're not in these younger years any longer.
Oh my God.
Do you have like a light at the end of the road? like do you foresee retirement years, or does that seem too like off in the future and far-fetched?
Oh yeah, because I mean, my retirement date is less than 10 years from now. So when you ask me, so where do you see yourself in 10 years? I'm like, okay, I'm going to be retired. Oh my gosh, what's that going to look like? Yes, there definitely is, because, in 10 years, my son's going to be 26 and he will be done probably 2 degrees by then. Okay. And then I'll, and my youngest will be 20. Mm-hmm. So that means, unless for some reason they've chosen to live at home and go to a school that's in our city, or whether they are back for some reason, it'll be my husband and me, and maybe the dog still. Mm-hmm. But oh yeah.
And what's nice about working with you is you didn't have relationship concerns. You weren't worried that you are on the wrong trajectory with your spouse, and so you can look forward to that. But some people need to kind of course correct in those last 5 to 10 years leading up to retirement.
Well, that comes down to, it goes back to making sure everything that is in your life really matters and works for you, right? And that you're putting in the work too. I think there are a lot of people in relationships that give up too easily, mm-hmm. And don't put in the work, because we see these soap opera romances and oh, everything is just so amazing and perfect and passionate all the time. And you've got to choose a partner who's your best friend, because it can't be all soap operas. No. And you need to respect one another, really. Yeah. I mean, what works so well for my husband and me is that it's like we can never do enough to try to make each other's day easier or better.
Oh,
like, you're
that's
always
very sweet.
just trying to, like, like, what can I do to help you? Or and we're both that way for the most part. And we certainly have our moments, like,
Yeah.
when things are busy.
This is still real life.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's not all fairy tale all the time, but
no. So it's really interesting because one of the reasons that being just like a well-rounded life coach was so intriguing to me is because I truly believe in this kind of peace pyramid where you can't have a section out of whack. You can't have a bad relationship with your husband or spouse or have your house in disarray or feel like your finances are a wreck and feel at peace. It doesn't matter if you've got a six-pack abs or whatever it is. You're not going to feel good about yourself if the rest of your life is in shambles. And I appreciated that with you, is that you were ready and willing and able to roll up your sleeves and make sure that all of the components were in place, because you didn't want to half-ass. You wanted a great life.
Yeah. Well, and why shouldn't I? Why
I know you deserve it. Right? You are
Everyone
worthy
does.
And you deserve it. And
everyone
that,
is.
everybody is. Yeah.
Yeah. And you just have to put in the work. And I know that sounds daunting for a lot of people, but I think with COVID, people have had to face themselves in the mirror when we were in initial lockdown, right? And everyone was at home all the time, all by themselves. And we didn't have all of these distractions, keeping us away from who we really are and figuring out who we really are. And when you are faced with only yourself in the mirror, if you put your phone away and stop scrolling, then you really need to be able to be happy with the person that's looking back at you. And that can sometimes require some pretty big decision making.
Yeah. No, it's true. I loved the lockdown.
You know what?
I was so excited. Too. I totally felt like I manifested it. I know. I told you that, right?
I know, eh?
Yeah. So going into 2020,
Sebastian, I want the world to stop.
I know.
Give me the morning.
I know. So going into 2020, we booked a beach vacation. And I know, we're in California, blah, blah, blah. We have the beach. I know.
Basically. Come on.
So anyway, a warmer part of the beach. So we booked this beach vacation, and we had this lovely hotel suite with this kind of wraparound view, and just the sunsets were amazing. And we're creating our vision boards because we walked into the hotel suite with a whole bunch of magazines and glue sticks and ready to go. So the kids and I were cutting out the images, and I don't know, Ryan Seacrest is doing his countdown, and it's so silly. And my board was the word slow and peace and tranquility and family and togetherness. And then we're all locked down a few months later.
So we can all put this on you, Stephanie.
Yes, it's completely my fault. But I loved it. Like, I was so excited to just all be home together. Like this is my happy place. So.
Yeah. Me too. But that's because we're happy with our families, right? I think the lockdown was really, really hard for a lot of people that didn't have happy family lives, and in fact, quite dangerous for a lot of people who live in abusive situations.
Yeah. Well, that was why it was so important to get the kids back at school, because putting safety first. But
I did too. I like, because I like my kids. My kids I like my husband. I we all like each other in our family, and we get along well. And we are fortunate enough to have this space where we live. We all kind of went in our own corners of the house for our online school for the day.
Yeah, as long as you had Wi-Fi, it was a good day.
Yeah. Yep, totally. And then we'd reconvene. Like, honestly, it was amazing. We'd reconvene for supper and a TV show. We went through like this a series of an entire series that was on air for 11 years. We went through it,
Nice.
like one episode or two episodes a night,
Sure.
and it was really special to have that slow time. And I almost wanted things to lock down again, like I want my family back, because when things opened up for us, things really opened up again a fair bit in September, October of 2021. And even November, like we had sports going again. My son was actually being able to play basketball. Like, I mean, we were live in person with lessons and things like that. And in classes, we were masked and I was wearing, goggles and all this stuff, but we were in person and we could be together again. And then, I was missing my family. I was really looking forward to the holiday break in December, and happy to have them back.
Yeah.
It was funny, December. So with Omicron hitting the world and us and changing our lives again, I was faced with a situation where I had to self-isolate. There was a student in my class who tested positive, and that sent everyone home. And I had to self-isolate for 10 days in my house with my family, away from me, because they needed to, be safe from mama and the potential COVID. So as soon as I got the news, I went and got tested, and then I isolated in our basement. We have a spare bedroom office kind of thing in our basement. So I was able to end my isolation early by one day because I went and got the second test. But I thought, oh my gosh, 10 days was it? Like, what's everyone going to do? What am I going to do? 10 days. Okay. And it really showed me that it's okay to do my own thing. Yeah. My kids are going to be okay. My husband's going to be okay. The world will continue. And they can do what they need to do without me orchestrating it all. And I can do what I need to do, just me. Like, and no one's
take care of yourself.
Yeah, it was really quite, it was a learning experience for me, because I did sneak upstairs with my mask on and cook dinner 2 nights of the week. And I told my son exactly what to make the other night. But it was okay. It was okay. Like, I knew that my family was going to be okay when I was downstairs isolating. It was a powerful experience for me.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad that you're comfortable with being alone with your thoughts and you don't feel like you have to silence them. Like it's okay to listen and kind of lean in and trust that you're on the right path. And I'm proud of you. I really am. You did a lot of work on yourself. And it's trickling down. I think I'm going to continue to use that term. I really like that.
Yeah, thank you. And I owe a lot of the kick in the pants to you, because I just needed someone to be accountable to. Some people are really great at being accountable to themselves, right? But I needed that external accountability to really get started, and now I can do it. It's still great to have a check-in every once in a while, and the self check-in sheets that that I did with you, I continue to do those myself now once a week.
Oh, good for you.
To kind of, it's like,
so it's interesting. It's the accountability, but then also I look at sometimes mindset as, at Disneyland when you're driving the car, but you're not really driving the car because there's like a bar keeping you from going off the road. Having another set of eyes sometimes on your thoughts and like, how is that serving you here? And those type of things is very helpful. And you were very receptive, and my hat is off to you with that, because there were times when you would go off on a tangent. I'm like, yeah, so that's not actually really helpful here, Katherine. Let's get you back on the road.
Get that guardrail back in. Yeah, I mean, and journaling has been really has really helped me on my journey too. Journaling, huh?
Journey, yeah, same word.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, but it was really helpful, and it really helped me dig deeper, because there were the thoughts came out on the page, and I look back at my journal, and some days the writing is just like a mess, and other days it's like, oh, neat and tidy, and that kind of represents your thought flow at the time too, and that's okay to get it out.
It is.
Yeah, because we need to. The self check-in sheets like the questions that we worked on, I do find that really gives me perspective, and it is like almost that third person voice, like that, and it also, I remember talking about when you journaled, are you an I? Or are you a you? Or are you a third person? What voice do you write in, right?
I go back and forth. What do you do?
Yes, I go back and forth too. Yeah, sometimes it's an I, sometimes it's a you, and sometimes even within the same journal entry, it's both, right?
Well, and it's nice because you're suspending judgment. This isn't for anybody else. It's not for publication. Whatever, just get it out, and I'm happy that you're not censoring yourself. And then
it took me a long time to get over that, though, because the whole concept,
that's why I didn't, and it's why I didn't want you to type it. I didn't want you to delete.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
I know.
Yeah,
people don't like that. And I'm like, no, I want you to print them out and write them.
Yep. I am very much like in my teaching, I'm very much a digital person, but there's certainly a lot of power to writing, physically writing, and my day plan. While I do have the family calendar, everyone has access so that everyone knows that what's going on in the family. And we all have our different activities, but it's all in the same calendar. I do actually have a 2-page spread that I write in what my rocks are for the day. And I do physically write that out, and I do write my journal. I do write my self-reflection pages. So there's just something, there's something different about handwriting, those intentions, those thoughts. And it actually, you know what? I was writing the other day, and I thought about this. I'm like, Steph will love this. When you journal and you write your thoughts down, your hand can't go as fast as your brain.
I know. Isn't that interesting? So you lose stuff.
You lose
and that's
stuff,
scary.
But it forces you to slow down.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
it really does. Because if you don't want to lose the stuff, you have to slow it down, right? Yeah. And
Katherine, look at you being all insightful. I love this. I love it.
Yeah, that's what I get to do with my students. It's great fun. It's great fun.
It is great fun. It is. Okay, so I think we're like at an hour, which is wonderful.
Already? We love chatting, you and I. We love chatting together.
I think you're great. I really do.
think you're great. Love and hugs.
Yes. All right. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Do you have a slow living story to share? Leave me a voicemail at stephanieodea.com/podcast with any questions, comments, feedback, or testimonials, and I will be sure to include it in an upcoming episode. Also, if you found value in this episode, please share it with your family and friends and subscribe through your favorite podcast provider. The more you share, comment, and leave positive reviews, the more people we can reach and share the slow living lifestyle and messaging. Thank you, Slow Down Society, and have an absolutely wonderful day.